This is war for Ted Richardson's heart, and the fallout is going to be absolutely brutal, savage, and shocking beyond belief. We are witnessing the absolute peak of emotional chaos right now in the aftermath of the devastating tornado that ripped through our beloved town. While the physical debris is slowly being cleared away, the emotional wreckage is just starting to pile up. And standing right at the epicenter of this catastrophic hurricane is none other than Ted Richardson. The man is currently juggling the fragile lives of his two daughters, Catherine and Ava, who just survived a harrowing liver transplant surgery. But while he is fighting to keep his family breathing, his romantic life is detonating into a million explosive pieces. The old flame between Nicole Dupree and Ted Richardson is violently reigniting, and the sparks are threatening to burn down everything in their path. Let us break down the ultimate battlefield: Nicole Dupree versus Shanice Johnson. This is not just a love triangle, this is a brutal psychological warfare for the very soul of Ted Richardson. On one side, you have Nicole, the history, the legacy, the undeniable magnetic pull of a shared past. During the terrifying, agonizing hours when Kat was fighting for her life, suffering from severe surgical complications, who was right there beside Ted? Nicole. The shared trauma of almost losing their child has forcefully slammed these two back together. We already know Nicole has been harboring secret, steamy fantasies about her ex-husband, confessing them in moments of sheer vulnerability. When you face the terrifying abyss of losing your child, all the petty grievances fade away, and you cling to the person who shares your deepest pain. That person for Ted is Nicole. The undeniable chemistry between them is radiating off the screen, and I am telling you, it is intoxicating. On the other side of this explosive battlefield is Shanice Johnson. My heart aches for Shanice because she is taking the most massive, terrifying risk of her entire life. Stepping into a relationship with a man who has as much heavy baggage as Ted Richardson is essentially walking barefoot through a minefield. Shanice is currently mourning the tragic, heroic death of her best friend, Derek Baldwin. That devastating loss forced her to realize that life is brutally short, pushing her to throw caution to the wind and fully commit. But in doing so, she has placed herself directly in the crosshairs of the Dupree-Richardson legacy. This is a monumental test for Shanice. If she navigates the storm and wins Ted's heart, she secures her happily ever after. But if she fails, if the ghost of Ted and Nicole's marriage proves too powerful to conquer, Shanice is going to be left utterly shattered, broken, and devastated. She is gambling her entire emotional well-being on a man who might not even belong to her. The tension is escalating to a fever pitch because we are about to witness a scene that will change the trajectory of these characters. At the sterile, cold hospital, surrounded by the beeping monitors and the suffocating weight of recent traumas, Ted is going to make an unexpected, earth-shattering confession to Shanice Johnson. I can barely breathe just thinking about it. What is going through this man's mind? After facing the sheer terror of almost burying both of his daughters, Ted is experiencing a massive, life-altering awakening. Trauma has a funny way of stripping away all the noise and forcing you to look at what truly matters. What is Ted going to confess? Is he going to look deep into Shanice's eyes and declare that she is his future, solidifying their bond and locking her in as the woman he wants by his side? Or is he going to drop a nuclear emotional bomb? Is he going to confess that the terrifying ordeal with Kat and Eva made him realize that his heart never truly left his? Will he admit that the undeniable spark with Nicole is something he can no longer ignore? If Ted confesses that he still harbors deep, unrelenting feelings for his ex-wife, it will be an act of absolute savagery against Shanice's fragile heart. She has already lost Derek. Losing Ted in the exact same week might completely destroy her. But Ted cannot lie to himself anymore. The suspense is literally suffocating, and the fallout from this single hospital conversation will dictate the future of Fairmont Crest. But wait, because the drama does not stop there. We cannot talk about Ted Richardson without talking about the ultimate agent of chaos, the tornado of toxicity herself, Leslie Thomas. This brings us to our next brutal conflict, Ted Richardson versus Leslie Thomas. Leslie recently dropped to her knees, crying and praying, promising God and everyone else that she was going to change her wicked ways after Kat miraculously saved Eva's life. But let us be real, you guys. A leopard does not change its spots, and Leslie Thomas is incapable of reading a room. Just as Ted is trying to find a moment of peace, sitting in the hospital room, sharing a tender, private, and deeply sacred moment with his recovering daughter Eva, who comes barging in, Leslie? She violently interrupts this beautiful father-daughter bonding time, completely disregarding Ted's need to connect with the child he almost lost forever. And this is the final straw. Ted aggressively clashes with his difficult ex. I am talking about an explosive, screaming, emotionally charged confrontation right there in the hospital corridors. Ted has been pushed to his absolute physical and mental limits this week, and Leslie's intrusive, overbearing behavior is the spark that ignites the powder keg. Let us analyze the twisted psychology of Leslie Thomas. Why does she do this? Because Leslie is the ultimate chaotic spice in Ted's life. She is a nightmare, yes. She is difficult, absolutely. But she is also the unpredictable seasoning that prevents Ted's life from flatlining into pure boredom. Whenever Ted gets too comfortable, whenever he thinks he has a handle on his existence, Leslie swoops in like a hurricane to remind him that he is never truly in control. She infuriates him, she exhausts him, but in a sick, twisted way, her constant meddling forces Ted to stay alert. She challenges him in ways that Nicole and Shanice simply do not. However, this specific clash in the hospital is going to be the ultimate catalyst for him. After the sheer exhaustion of the surgeries, the emotional warfare of his romantic life, and now this aggressive confrontation with Leslie, Ted is going to have a massive realization. He can no longer ride the fence. He can no longer be a passive participant in his own life. This explosive argument with Leslie is going to force Ted to make definitive, ironclad, ruthless decisions about his boundaries and his future. He has to draw a line in the sand with Leslie, and more importantly, he has to draw a line in the sand regarding his own heart. The stakes have never, ever been higher. Every single paragraph of this story is dripping with betrayal, longing, and explosive consequences. Who will Ted choose? Will he run back to the familiar, magnetic embrace of Nicole Dupree, rebuilding the family empire that was shattered so long ago? Or will he honor the commitment he made to Shanice Johnson, a woman who was risking her own sanity to love him? Can Shanice survive the sheer emotional brutality if Ted walks away? And how will Leslie Thomas manipulate this chaos to her own advantage? She is watching, waiting in the wings to exploit any sign of weakness. This is not just a romantic dilemma. This is a war that will fracture the very foundation of the hospital and the community. If Ted breaks Shanice's heart, the professional fallout at Garland Memorial will be catastrophic. If he rejects Nicole, the Dupree family dynamics will turn icy and hostile. There are hidden meanings in every glance, secret desires buried under every argument, and the consequences of Ted's impending decisions will ripple out and destroy lives. Everything just changed. The board is set, the pieces are moving, and the emotional detonator is in Ted Richardson's hands. Do not miss what happens next, because Fairmont Crest is about to go up in flames. Let me know in the comments who you think Ted belongs with, Nicole or Shanice. And what do you think he is going to confess? Smash that like button, subscribe for more daily soap tea, and I will see you in the next video.